You ever look back over your dating history and you realize it's a distinct pattern? It's the same man, just a different face, a different job, a different smell, but the same emotional temperament, the same charm with no follow through. He's still inconsistent. He still lacks effort. And you experience the same almost relationship that never becomes anything real. And you sit there thinking, why do I keep choosing the same man in a different body? Hey, everybody, this is your girl, Coach G, your certified transformational coach. And with the master's in psychology and the PhD in life, my goal is simple: to create a safe space for my ladies 45 plus to explore deeper self awareness and spiritual alignment, and to encourage you to hear your inner voice more clearly and live a life that feels true to your spirit. So, let's get into it. We opened this series by talking about matrifocal dynamics and how they've shaped many of us, and how the patterns we continue to repeat are often easy to miss because they mirror the environments we grew up in. And when that structure is your foundation, certain behaviors feel familiar, even harmless, and they don't always register as concerning. And from there, we explored the difference between someone being interested in you and someone being intentional about you, and how that distinction shows up in real time. But then we turned inward, addressing the red flags that show up in the relationships we have with ourselves, the ways we abandon our own needs, and we held on to what we know God never designed for our lives. In fact, the relationships we have with ourselves becomes the blueprint for the relationships we choose with others. And it shapes what we tolerate, what we excuse, and what we call normal. Until you see those internal patterns clearly, you will keep recreating them with the men you choose. Your heart will keep gravitating towards the same unhealthy emotional experiences. The same man, just a different body. So let me do a quick heart check for all of my beautiful ladies. I want you who are listening to understand something. This is about awareness. It's about healing and breaking what could be generational cycles and understanding the connection between your internal red flags and your external choices. This, is, this isn't about shaming anyone or making anybody feel bad. This is a safe space, and it's all about growth. Now, do I have all the answers? I absolutely do not. But what I do have is lived experiences. And it's the kind that teaches you in ways the books I've written, nor the theories I've learned in my master's program will ever teach you. And that's what I'm here to share. That being said, sometimes the reasons we keep choosing the same man is because we're choosing the same emotional experiences. We're choosing what our nervous system recognizes. We choose what our spirits have normalized, what feels like home, even if that home was chaotic, inconsistent, or emotionally distant. So let me give a painted picture for you. We'll call this lady Mariah, and she's 50 years old. She's successful. She's emotionally intelligent. Uh, she swears she's done emotionally with unavailable men. But this is something she says every year. That's her New Year's resolution, and nobody really listens to her because that's what she says every year, every January. And every time she leaves a situationship that has emotionally tapped her out, her girlfriends are like, yeah, okay, girl, okay." But then she meets somebody that's new, and he feels familiar. He's sweet, he's attentive in the beginning, and he says all the right things. But this is the thing, he's not consistent, and he's vague. He's not always emotionally available. He gives her just enough, just enough to keep her hopeful, but never enough to really build anything that's sustaining. And Mariah tells herself, this time it's going to be different. And how many times have you been in a relationship that you said to yourself, this time it's going to be different until it isn't? And so with Mariah, she realizes it's the same man she's dated before. He's just in a different packaging. One wore a UPS uniform and the other wore a firefighter's jacket. So why is this? It's because Mariah hadn't healed that part of her that thinks she has to earn somebody's love. She hasn't understood that strong emotions doesn't always mean a deep connection. And because of this, she feels she got to prove her worth, which restricts her ability to express her emotions truthfully and freely. And she has not come to the conclusion that love doesn't have to be hard. And that's a red flag. But this is the thing, the red flag is not in him, it's in her. That's that internal red flag we talked about in the last episode. And until she sees it, she'll keep choosing the same emotional pattern. And a lot of us aren't always attracted to what's good for us. We find ourselves being drawn to what's familiar, even when they aren't healthy or beneficial. So then our attractions tend to be influenced more by our past experiences. So let me give you another example. You go on a date and the date goes really well. You laugh, you talk, you connect, everything feels easy. Then he walks you home to your door. He leans in and he's respectful. He gives you a forehead kiss. It's sweet, it's gentle. And for you, that moment triggers a sense of familiarity. It triggers a sense of safety that has nothing to do with the man himself. Because at the end of the day, he's presenting his ambassador. His ambassador is on duty, the version of him that shows up early. He's polished, he's intentional, he's well mannered. Now, I do want to say this, that's not to disparage him or suggest he's not a good guy. It's simply to say that sometimes the meaning we attach to a gesture comes from our own storyline, not from who he actually is or what he's capable of, or even if he's capable of, or even wants a long term journey with you. So if you grew up in and around inconsistency, inconsistency feels normal. An emotional gulf is okay with you. And some women think it's cute when a man is chaotic because that's the way they experience love. All of this familiarity becomes your compass, even though it's pointing you in the wrong direction. It's not a red flag to you, it's normal. And this is why you can meet a man who communicates, a man who's consistent, a man who's emotionally available, and you feel nothing. In fact, you see him as boring. You tell your girlfriends there's no spark, there's no real connection. And most times, though, it's not him, it's your internal wiring. Your spirit doesn't recognize healthy love because it's never really lived in that space. That's a red flag, too, but it's an internal one. When what's truly right for you comes along, you are unable to receive what you say you want. So, for the next few days, I want you to allow yourself to sit with what we have talked about today. Don't allow cognitive dissonance to rob you of a better, more fulfilling life. When you start to see the link between your internal red flags and your external choices, it will probably feel uncomfortable. I know it did with me, but it can also be freeing because you begin to recognize the unhealthy patterns you've been living. And suddenly, the men you used to entertain, they don't even look that appealing anymore. And it's not because they changed, it's because you did. You raised your standards, you changed your patterns. You don't just want better, you've decided to choose better. Can we do it? Hey, everybody, this is your girl, Coach G, again, reminding you that the most powerful red flags you will ever recognize is the ones that shows up in your own reflection, because that's the one that determines everything else. Meet me back here next Wednesday at 6 a.m., where we will continue our series, Relationships, Red Flags. Until then, get out there and conquer the world. And if not the world, conquer yourself.